let's start by telling our guests a little bit more about the Valorem Tax Division and what you guys do and how you guys deliver value to your clients.
Absolutely. So within SWBC, our division, Valorem Tax, we provide consulting services to residential families, as well as commercial developers, commercial real estate holders, as well as business, personal property, and industrial properties across the entire U.S., not exclusive to Texas.
Oh, wow. I actually thought that you guys were primarily in Texas, so you're working across the country.
Right. So our commercial and our residential division primarily stays within the state of Texas. Our industrial division and personal property has accounts all over the U.S.
Very good.
And so our job is to be experts in property tax, in ad valorem tax, not only in the state of Texas, but across the U.S. So we have to stay continuously involved and educated on tax law, tax code. And that's our foremost responsibility to our clients, is to provide the education needed to adequately understand property tax and the dynamic of property tax and how that impacts either a company's bottom line or that hard-earned money that somebody has that they need to put towards property tax at the end of the year or an escrow account.
And just, just providing some color there, just from some of the things you've told me in prep for this conversation, just how complex that can be, like how much tax law can change from not just state to state, but from county to county in terms of how assessments are made or how rates are how they come up with the rates. Right. That was quite shocking to me of just how complex property taxes are.
Absolutely. Just using Texas as an example, tax law has the ability to change every 2 years. And those laws impact both overall ownership as well as the individual jurisdictions for property tax. And so as you and I spoke, the 254 counties in Texas all fall under the Texas Comptroller in regards to governance of what they are doing. However, each county has the ability to opt in or opt out into certain breaks for homeowners.
Oh, wow.
And so, for example, in Bexar County, where we're currently at, if you own a home, you have the homestead exemption. You have to apply for it. It's not automatically granted. That automatically takes $25,000 off your assessed value of your home, what you actually are paying taxes against. Now, the city, the county, and the special districts have the option to opt in to do 20% of your assessed value as an exemption, but they have to opt into it. So you could be in Bexar County, and the county, for example, may not opt into it. You may be in Kendall County, right up the road in Bernie, and the county may opt into it and your taxes are reduced. Yeah. And so being brought up in a family where money was tight, and my mom immigrated over here from Thailand when she was 18. English was her second language, didn't know a lick of English when she moved here. My dad, who grew up in poverty in Cincinnati, Ohio, they were always very geared towards always understanding the worth of your money, the worth of you. Yeah. And so they instilled that in me in a very young age. Yeah. So when my wife and I, when we finished college and we looked for our first home, one of the very first things I did, I looked for a home that was outside the city because you have lower tax rates. And those are the type of decisions that you have to make as a homeowner or an investor into real estate. But you have to be educated to make that informed decision.
That's really interesting that you bring that up about your parents. There's too few people who have that story where they can say that their parents really gave them the information that they needed to know how to go about doing some of this stuff that's so critical for wealth creation in this country when you think about real estate. And that's something we talk a lot here, is that this need for, especially within the minority community, more of this kind of information to be instilled at a younger age, which starts with helping more of these Black and Latino families get into home ownership and pass this information down to their children so that you can get on that path to wealth creation in this country, because that's where it starts in so many cases, is having that information and making those right decisions early in your life where you can start to acquire these assets and build this wealth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I spent the majority of my life in school, in some type of higher education or in school in general. And very few courses will teach you about building true wealth.
Absolutely.
Very few courses will teach you about property tax or compounding interest. You have to be in certain courses to understand that. I was fortunate enough to have two parents that brought me up that way, but also majoring in business, you get access to finance classes, accounting classes that touch on it, but don't go into the real life application of how this is going to impact you as an individual. How is this going to impact your family?
I agree 100%. At Notre Dame, name drop, go Irish, love Notre Dame. Anyway, at Notre Dame, I was a finance and econ major. Everybody in the finance program, you're pretty much being geared to go to Wall Street. If you don't go to Wall Street, it's almost like a sense of like you failed. Like you can tell that's where they want you to go.
Right.
You're learning all about investments, just like you would in any other school about financing. But I think back to it in real estate and the significance of owning real estate personally to develop wealth. I do not remember that message ever being delivered,
right,
or even having a sense of all the many careers tied to this real estate environment, just how significant it was to the global economy. I do not remember that really being central to any of that conversation. And I think that, from the colleges to the high schools to just our own families, we definitely do a much better job in this country of instilling that into our children young and early so that they know. And obviously there are those kids who are growing up in environments where they are taught that right away, and it pays off that they are. I just think that more children, especially within these minority groups where it's just not happening, need that opportunity to get that information.
I completely agree.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. More videos are on the way.